The Great Hazelnut Harvest 2021, Day 3 continues. So we've got some overcast skies here. It's going to be a nice day for picking until the sun comes out, and then it's supposed to get hot, hot, hot. So lots of questions from folks, especially, you said that you're marking the rows with this flag, this tape, but how do you know when the cluster is ripe and ready to go? Well, I'm going to show you. So it's not always by color. Color can be one indication of ripeness. So you can see here, a lot of these nut clusters are turning brown, starting to dry up, but it's not a very good indicator because in this case, while these are starting to dry up, they are not ripe and ready. They are still firmly seated within that nut cluster. That nut's not coming out. So this is one you'd think is maybe ripe and ready, but is not. So here we have a nut cluster from another bush, and you can see the cluster itself is rather green. As we look inside, we can see that there's the nut. And what we want to do to see if it's ripe is we want to push on that nut and see if we can move it. And if we can pop that nut out, then it's ripe and ready to go. Again, we'll peel back that husk. You see the brown nut. If you can move it and pop it out, it's ripe and ready to go. And we would do that on several clusters throughout the entire bush. And if we continually found that the nuts were ready to pop out, we'd say that that's ripe and ready to go, and we'd pick the entire bush. So that's how we determine if a bush is ready to be picked, if it's ripe and ready to go. We check the clusters throughout the entire bush. So we'll start on one side, we'll check this cluster, see if we can pop the nut out. We'll go around to the other side of the bush, take a cluster from the top of it, see if we can pop the nut out, and then we'll go to the other side of the bush and we'll see, take a cluster from the bottom, let's say, and see if we can pop the nut out. And in totality, if we can pop most of the nuts out, it's ripe and ready to go. So once the nut clusters are picked, essentially they'll be dried down. We'll put them in the grain bin, run some air on them so that they get brown, kind of like this here. You can see that when they dry up, they really open up and the nuts easily pop free. And so we'll dry them down till they're about this consistency, maybe a little drier. And then those are the nuts that we want, in-shell nuts.